One. So here we are with the topic number 2 with Courtney. We did the first topic and that was mind-blowing for me. And the second topic is lawful versus legal. Courtney, why do we need to learn this?
Well, because most of us are asleep. We hear the terms interchangeably and we don't realize we're being defrauded via the legal process, because legal refers to a private bar, British Accreditation Register listed society. It's like a privy council. It's like private to certain people.
Which is it's connected to the corporations you're talking about, essentially, yeah?
Yeah, it's all part of scratching each other's back. It's how it works. So it's a fake entity, and the legal process has men dressed in black. And we know about men in black. They symbolize.
That's legal, yeah?
That's legal. So that's the process of being defrauded, and they like doing things at night. They have some very strange phrases. So yeah, that's legal. And legal is not lawful. Lawful is our unalienable freedoms from birth. That is the law, as in natural law. And if we doubt that there's a natural law, look around you at trees, at individuals, at how we are created. And so we have a natural law, the law of nature. And we've had people who have interspersed into our lives, picked our pockets, charged us to the privilege, and their oath is effectively to the Queen, the Bar Society pyramid. That's how it works.
Which is the legal system, yeah?
That's the legal system, yeah. Thanks to keep me on track. And that legal system is behind closed doors, and those people keep others out. They have their own society, just like Starbucks has a uniform, has rules. The Bar Society has that. And they even tapped my card when I had common law advocate. I advocate for common law. A legaler tapped my card and said, "You can't use that word," as if they now own the language. They think they do, but we're now catching on to what their language means. So lawful, dead straight, and it comes from birth freedoms. Legal, hijacked, triangulated, misdirected, and misnamed. That's the key thing of their little game.
And of course, some of our lawful rights, so they are rights given by birth, would be what, Courtney?
Lawful freedoms. I think I'm a bit of an anal individual, having studied a bit of this. It's how they write. We don't even know. We miss it. So freedoms is the word I prefer. We are born free. I can't command you to do anything. I can't inject a poison into you.
So they are freedoms. They are freedoms by right of birth, yeah?
Otherwise, it's not all people everywhere, and we're not truly free and truly equal. So I can't tell you and force you to have a poison, but we've lost our way. So the legal has come along with a bit of paperwork, with an act, a statute, or a code. And these are laid down in places we invented, and the legalists have a field day at then building something 2,200 pages. That one, it changes every few years. And so that's legal. I prefer the law. Very simple.
And the law comes from the English what? From the English Constitution? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of misdirections on constitutions and unalienable freedoms, but I like to think the basis is around the codification or the laying down of natural law by the Magna Carta in 1215, when there was a bit of a spat and somebody didn't understand who was the master and who was the servant. And it's not through force that people become rulers over us. It has to be with the consent of the people. So it goes back 800-900 years, 1,000 years. It goes back to freedoms and what is a slave, that somebody compels to do something, and what is a free man or woman. And that's extremely important. So it goes back a long, long time. The legalists like to get case study and precedent and cite some irrelevant case where they've got lots of money for getting an often bent judge to come down on one side of their legal scam. But if you know who you are in court and go in as the live man, you'll find that their necromancy, their document, is actually the legal process. The document is what they've got to get you to claim, thinking it's you, it's your name. So that's the big one that people have to turn on its head.
Cool. And of course, how would we use this knowledge? How can we, as the layperson, use the knowledge of lawful versus legal? How can we use it?
You can see lots of videos online. There's one great one by a guy called Keith. He goes into court, presents his certificate, tells them who they're looking for, and stands down a judge. There was one I just saw yesterday with some great Irish folks. saying to the police, move your car, move your car. And they literally say that, and the police move their car, their property, their conveyance of a private corporation. So the people have spoken. They know they're traveling on a highway. They're not begging for driver rights or vehicle rights. They just say, this is the law, and how they apply it is in peace, knowing who and what they are, who they are as their name, given name, and what they are in their standing. And when you do, you can stand down people who are working for a private corporation in a black uniform that might try and pass themselves off as police constables when they're a police officer. So that bit of knowledge can get them to move out of your way so you can travel unimpeded, as is your unalienable freedom.
So imagine you're driving down the road.
Yep.
Or you are moving down a street and you're stopped by a police officer that is part of the legal system.
Yep.
Give us an example of how we might deal with that if they stopped us.
Well, I can give that case because I've done 2 books that have one where I got a bit distracted. I lacked knowledge and I let my ego get the better of me, and a bit of humor.
Yeah.
And so I was stopped whilst I was in a 4-wheeled bit of property, a Renault Clio, which I'd listed under common law. So I wasn't the registered keeper. It was my property. And I was traveling on the highway, insured for that plate, that letter plate. Plod stopped me. And because I didn't know what to do and how to stand him down and to get him to stand under his police constable oath, he then stole my car, having lent in, took my keys, broke every rule in the book. I then went to jail. And despite having 1 year's no claim on that conveyance for insurance, I still had to pay a fine. So they used force of law, and how I would do it now is very different. It's not a sales plug, but I cover it in that book, which is my second book, because in a way I got it wrong in that, because I didn't know about the separation of the corporation that 50 odd companies run the Isle of Man, and they run the world with hundreds of thousands of companies. So one, you know, to ask him, are you a constable? Are you standing on your oath? But first of all, you want to get the upper hand, and you want to very simply say, I don't answer questions, because he's always trying to get you into contract. And he does.
So basically, I stop you, Courtney, and I say, excuse me, sir, you know, can I have a look at your details? Can I take a look at your, you know, your ID, or do you have any form of driver's license? What would you do in that scenario? What would be your initial response?
I do not answer questions.
Okay, and I could then say, well, okay, but you need to answer questions because I have reason to believe that that you could be creating a bit of a problem here.
I don't answer questions.
And so literally that's broken record type stuff.
That's the stuff. Yeah? Then eventually, when you do decide you may lower the window slightly, you start with very simple, I am asking. And you have to have watched this, which might seem counterintuitive. When you are asking, you literally are acting as king, AS-KING. I am asking, I require. And you start to ask him, is he or are you a police constable? See what is up. What you want to establish is that he is a police constable standing under his oath. And at the end of it, you can go through a series of questions when he tries to say, where's your license? I don't answer questions. So when he tries to get you into the license, he's trying to get you to admit you have been licentious. That's where the word license comes from. Yeah. And he wants pleading, and he wants to confuse you into a piece of property that he would call a car or a vehicle, which is defined in law as something used for commerce. And I assume, like me, you travel freely on the highway. You're not engaged in commerce. You're not selling anything. And he doesn't have any requirement. He can only do that via the assumption of the gift to king or queen, the registration of your 4-wheeled conveyance. And so he does that, hoping that he can get you to start. I'm in contract. He's got joinder. So what you want to do at each stage is not be belligerent or awkward or combative. You simply around your freedoms that he is a road pirate. He may know he's acting criminally. He may know he's liable in his private capacity, and you are not going to be bullied by a guy in basically a black Starbucks uniform.
Well, okay, you need to give me your name. I need to know your name.
I do not answer questions.
Okay, so you know this is now escalating. Imagine now he's getting a bit fed up with you.
going to get fed up. He's going to try neuro-linguistic programming. He's going to say, but sir, you're being very awkward. You're not making this easy on yourself. So you let that go. Wait a few seconds. I require that you confirm your name. You say to him, and he is compelled to give it. He will then say, oh, I'm PC 1832. I asked for your name. I require, nice and simple, you don't demand yet, you require that he gives you his name. I would then say, if he doesn't want to do any of that, are you acting as a policy officer? I'm a policeman. Are you acting, I ask again, are you acting as a police officer in a for-profit corporation? If he's hard of thinking, you pause and wait. He'll then wriggle and maybe call his backup, and there'll be another guy who's leaning in a bit heavy and looking a bit, oh, well. So why are you being so belligerent? You need to open this car door. I do not answer questions. I'm a traveller on the highway, and you need to confirm whether you're acting under your oath of service as a police constable. Constable, I require that of you. And then see where that goes. Well, so you're driving this car, and you're probably acting illegal. I do not answer questions. It's very serious. You're making claims based on hearsay. Constable, I'm addressing you now as a constable, and if needs be in your private capacity. I do not recall summonsing you. You are therefore dismissed and free to go. I'm now leaving. That's literally it, and drive around him. Don't want to drive through them. We want to wish them peace and love. They got a mortgage. They got kids in school. They got marital problems. They got a bit of alcohol at the weekend. Neighbor, and all he wants
plus it might knock your exhaust off. Do you know what I mean, Courtney?
Sorry?
It might knock the exhaust off your car as well.
You don't want to damage your property because it's not a car. So he'll keep trying to get you a car, to be a driver, to be a sad bastard, and you're not one. You're standing in your power, or you might be a 70-year-old granny that's got a sharp working brain, and she doesn't want to pay the road pirates, and they're guilty of personage impersonating a police constable. Getting a bit bloody serious now. We're not going to make claims. We're going to ask as king, and then they're going to know where you're going, and they will eventually move out your way. I haven't proven that on the highway yet, but I did do it in court when a court official summoned a security guy, then a policy man in black, and he knew I knew him because he made a claim at the beginning. And once they know you're there, they go, leave him alone. And that's not bullying. It's not meant to be egotistical. It's just, can we just go fishing and walk our dog and eat an ice cream unencumbered without all these petty bureaucratic rules based on deception? And if you doubt that, look at ACRO. I'm still following up on this one in the West Midlands, where an individual has said there were 5 policy men. I think 2 of them are chief constables, having fines and ripping people off for about 1.7 million. That's going to, I do believe it involved chief constables. Until I'm sure of my facts, I won't make the named claim on those.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Some of these forming limited companies, I'm with you on that. So I think basically that's a nice way. So what are the benefits of actually doing this?
You feel better. You get these policy men to leave you alone. You want to talk to them in their private capacity. And when they come round my house, as they did in March, 2 of them stood there with their video cameras running, a little flashy red dot. But I go to the door with my camera running, maybe not in this T-shirt, I quite like this, but it just explains to them they have limited perspective, and coming here, trying to get me to sign something. No, I autograph something, I don't sign it. And so we understand when the police say, we're coming in, you've got to sign this. And I'm going, not signing it because that's at 11 p.m. at night and I'm closed for business. I wasn't doing business and they shouldn't be trying to do business. And they're just lying. So I've named them in my book as to who they are. And we're going to have that discussion as they wake up. They're going to pretend they don't know. But as they keep telling us, ignorance of the law is no defense. And they're getting themselves into very serious perjury, criminal hot water. They've lied. They've stolen from me. So revenge is a soup best eaten cold, and that will give people power to know they can't just be set upon when they're going out minding their business with 3 kids in the car and they're trying to stop you for 3 miles an hour over the limit. It's nonsense. It's based on acts, statutes and codes, and without consent, they do not apply to living men. They only apply to persons, and we're not persons, not going to be anymore.
And so for us to become persons, we can, you talk about, I remember having a conversation with you about changing the name on some of your details so that it's not block capitals, yeah?
Yep.
Is that an effective system to use, Courtney?
one of the things I've been cautious of, because I ran at the door for too many years and I saw the cases, and I've been in court about 10 times, been some for mine, some for others. The all capitals bit, there were many aspects to this. It's an art, not a science. And I started to lose my surname, and I've started to only use lowercase for my name, my given names. It's part of it. It's not all of it. There is a huge amount on Dog Latin. There are some world-class experts, and I'd cite them down under for this. So Bill Turner from New Zealand, Santos Bonacci, and Romley Stewart from Australia really have got the hang of this, where it makes sense when you look in the documents and you see Cabid's diminutia maxima. So you're literally decapitated by use of the name, of the capital name. And this, to most people, would seem barking, but just pick up your passport. It's maritime law we're being dragged into. Just pick up your driving license, and that's how they make you into a person. The legal fiction, the straw man. There is just so much you can watch on this, but it's a journey, and be patient with yourself, because I was all for almost all my life, 6 decades, and it was only, it triggered 15 years ago, but it really came home watching a court case actually in Spanish for 3 days in Valencia, and I could almost see it more clearly because it was in a foreign language. It just made no sense. And my friend got stiffed, had over. We had the TV people there, but I realized he was dressed in black robes, and it took him a year to go from being a legaler until just over a year ago, to say he was going to put up a common law website in Spanish. He's a bar accredited lawyer.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Well, I think that's brought chapter 2, module 2, whatever we want to call it, legal versus lawful. That's brought that to a conclusion. What we'll do now is we'll look forward to number 3.
Great.
Okay. See you again. Cheers, Courtney. Bye.